Vision Pro Backlash, Bartender is back, and Apple Productivity app changes. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by NordLayer. Secure your network and stay compliant with a one-toggle-ready platform. Visit nordlayer.com/MacVoices and use the code MacVoices10 for an extra 10% off yearly subscriptions. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it is Tuesday night. This is MacVoices Live, if you had any doubt about it. We're live on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We have a bunch of friends in the chat room. More are undoubtedly going to come. And if you missed the pre-show tonight, you missed quite a discussion. And that's all I'll say about that, because it will end up in MacVoices After Dark later. A lot of things to get through, as we always have, but we want to find out who's here first, and then you'll know who's going to comment on all those things. So first up, top left, as usual, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to have you.
Good to be here as always, Chuck. And boy, you got some pre-show laughs. I'm still catching up on that one, but glad to be here.
It has been, yes, it's been a definitely a pre-show laugh fest. Yeah. Next up, the father of the groom, Mr. Marty Jencius, has survived his son's wedding, and he's here to, I guess, recover. Marty, good to have you.
It's good to be here. I'm, about 85% recovered. I'm looking forward to another good night's sleep, and then I think I'll be back to 100% tomorrow. But yeah, it's, I never want to do this again. I just never want to do this again. Just, here's the money, kids. Go someplace and just leave me out of it.
So were there any major tragedies, or did it come off reasonably well?
It came off reasonably well. There was some really good thunderstorms, and we had a DJ by the name of DJ OK, which I thought was okay. But was really loud. So I spent most of my time sitting outside the venue working on a cigar, and people would come out, and that was kind of nice. I enjoyed that.
That's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad to hear that it went well.
Yeah.
Eric Bolden is here. Eric, it's good to see you. Eric was playing with his background earlier, but now he's gone back to something a little more sedate, so as to not distract from all the discussions. Eric, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. I figure I can only get hit by a train so many times, it would make talking difficult. So I originally picked the tracks because, the future of Mac OS and and Vision OS is a little blurry out in there. We kind of know where it is right now, so that's nice and clean. But if you look closely in here, there are a whole bunch of spikes that are loose and not pounded down all the way. So I just figured going to WWDC, where they're going to clean up the OS, pound in the spikes, tighten everything up, it was fitting.
That's a heck of an introduction for a background picture. I'm impressed. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs thought he was going to be late, but he's here early. Brian, it's great to have you. I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I wanted to segue into Jeff Gamet, and there was nothing there, so I'm just going to go for it. Jeff, it's good to see you.
Chuck, it's great to see you too. And I feel like I have to say, I'm so excited to be here tonight with Eric. All aboard, Bolden.
Yeah. I can see Eric one of those little conductor's caps,
Absolutely.
That would work.
And then just looking me right in the eyes and going, tickets, and intimidating me, and I'd cry and find my ticket. Yeah.
Last but not least, Frank Gorshin. Oh, no, wait. No, that's not right. Mark Fuccio. Mark,
yes.
Hello. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. Glad to be back. Although I've been out, attended a couple on chat sessions, but it's good here face-to-face with everyone.
Absolutely. I know you've been doing some traveling and had some schedule conflicts and all that, but good to have you back.
Okay, glad to be here.
So, folks, just a quick reminder, we're doing the show notes. If you haven't been here for a little while, the show notes are a little bit different. I'm not pasting the links to the chat anymore, but everybody can go to macvoices.com/show notes, all one word. And that's where all the show notes are located right now, so you can follow along. We do offer them about 30 minutes ahead of showtime. And for our patrons, they get them roughly an hour ahead of time, a day ahead of time. I was a little late yesterday because of some prior commitments, but that's how we're working the show notes now. And it feels a lot easier because the conversations flow a little bit. So the first couple, though, stories we want to touch on tonight were brought in by Marty Jencius. That seems to be there's a bit of backlash building against Mark Gurman and his position on the Apple Vision Pro. Marty, I'm going to let you introduce it since you were the one that brought the stories in.
Well, I've got to be all honest about this. Eric brought in the John Gruber article of the Daring Fireball post, and that one, John Gruber I just love the title of it. Tahoe's UI issues have nothing to do with display technology. And maybe, just maybe, we should stop assuming Gurman knows anything about Apple's Vision hardware roadmap. And through the article points out kind of cleanly situations where Gurman has either predicted or has mispredicted what's going to happen, and particularly around the Vision Pro. 2 weeks ago, he called it dead, and then he puts an article out just last week where he says, hey, it looks like it's going to be showing up, and the new one's going to be showing up in 2028. The second article is a article by, it comes from Front Row, and Mark Gurman has been burying Apple Vision Pro since before it shipped. I'm out of patience. And this has an interesting twist to it because it talks about the impact it has on developers when he puts something out like that, and developers are working on product or shooting spatial video for use on that platform. And he puts that out, and in that case, when he said it was dead 2 weeks ago, every other news media picked that up. And suddenly it was being spoken as truth. And that is market shaping when you say that kind of non-reliable information. So yeah, I just, Eric brought the first one from John Gruber. Dave helped us find the direct link. And then I pulled this one from my feed searches that talked about Mark Gurman's been burying the Apple Vision Pro since before it shipped. And there's a timeline in there of things that he said over the years about it. So 2 cool articles.
When I was reading these and thinking about them, we've talked about John Prosser here. We've talked about Gurman. We've talked about the leakers and the rumors and everything. Gurman is pretty high profile, but they all are contributing to this we have to speculate on everything mentality. And I don't pretend to know whether Gurman has good inside sources, bad inside sources, or any inside sources. But it seems like there's just so much more of this going on, and it does not help Apple at all. It doesn't help the investors. If anything, it can cost you money. And to your first point, Marty, it affects how developers are planning out what they're going to do and what they're going to make. And it just does not feel right by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. Mark?
Yeah, I have a comment, which is that I don't know if Gurman cares if he writes a positive article or a negative article. Just think about where he is and his new incentives. Incentives are to get clicks. So, he'll write whatever he thinks will get the most eyeballs on it.
And I think you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, a lot of people fall for it, including us at times. Because if that headline is something we agree with, naturally we're going to click on it and say, yes, I agree.
Although
If we don't,
to be fair to Gurman, he doesn't write. He might suggest a title. It's the editors who actually control the titles at publications.
yeah, good point. Good point. And so, yeah, it makes me almost shy away from the news. And I feel like sometimes that's a lot of people have shied away from mainstream news for some of these same reasons, that it's all sensationalism. It's all designed to hook you and keep you there. So I don't know what the solution is, except to just approach it all with a whole lot of healthy skepticism. Because there was an article, was it last week or am I confusing weeks, that said that the Apple Vision Pro team had been, I guess,
yeah, that was the same article.
Dismissed?
That was the Gurman article.
Was it his? Okay,
and maybe others picked up, and claimed different pieces of it as their own unique reporting journalism.
Yeah.
Which
Jeff?
is facetious.
There was a time when whatever Gurman was putting out, you could take it as if it came directly from Apple, because it did. And it's no secret that Apple and other companies will at times pick someone to be like an unofficial mouthpiece and feed them the information to write their pieces and get news out there in the way that they want it so they can control it. So I do remember when Gurman was like really taking off, that you could take what he was writing basically as gospel, but it hasn't been like that for quite a while. And I put Gurman in the same category as Ming-Chi Kuo.
Ooh.
I know. Those could be fighting words for some people right there. But, it's there might be a grain of truth in some of the things that come out. But by and large, I don't take anything that Gurman's saying as reliable anymore.
I wish I didn't agree with that, but and Marty asked in our private chat, that are there any reliable sources on Apple anymore? I don't know.
Define reliable. I mean, people like Gruber are pretty good at looking at current state and back on history, but I think what's about to come out. Tim Cook has done a pretty good job of sealing the leaks.
Yeah, and that was intentional. I mean, we saw that in those news stories about them, particularly after John Prosser's stuff. There was Apple was trying to shut down the leaks, and he's done that effectively. It's sort of, to me, where do I go now if I'm trying to report on Apple? What I'm seeing is Gurman saying one thing 1 week, saying something 2 weeks later, and basically Mac Rumors mirroring that, and then shifting the whole. So then when I go through FeedSpot to find articles, it's international. They're picking this garbage up and pushing it back and forth and flooding the media with it. And so, I've got to start looking for other or better sources. It might be Apple Insider. It might be 9 to 5 Mac. It might be Cult of Mac, something that seems like it has a little bit more, and I might be wrong with that. I was going to say journalistic integrity. So, yeah.
Yeah. Eric.
I think Apple is just getting better at keeping secrets again. For a while, they were excellent. Then they were a little bit leaky, and there were a few people that spilled a lot. Now I think they're just getting really good at not saying out loud what they know. And there are a bunch of teams that are smaller and focused and don't talk, which is good because it gives us surprises later. But it means that when people are trying to write stories, it becomes pure speculation.
So I've noticed a phenomenon, which is as we get closer, to an announcement, it seems that the accuracy of the stories and maybe the accuracy of the stories increases. So maybe there is some pre-leaking, going on, which I think, I don't know. I may have said, I seem to remember saying this on a show with Ken Ray that Chuck had with MacVoices years ago, that for leaks from Apple's perspective can serve a useful purpose, because it can get people pre-thinking and pre-lusting and pre-evaluating, do I want Model A or Model B? So that when they come out, if they have it and they say it's available right away, or it's available for pre-order starting tomorrow, people are already psychologically well down, the decision and decision path and path to buy a product.
Okay, that I feel like maybe stretching the value of some of this, but all right, I'll go with that. Brian.
Yeah. So I was just going to echo what Eric had mentioned earlier about the aspect of leaks and maybe being able to be surprised a little bit once in a while. It's nice, I miss the days of being surprised. I think, when it comes to hardware, it's just manufactured on such a large scale that, if, like, for example, the case designs and things of that nature have to go out ahead of time so they can create the case, and ultimately those types of specs tend to leak. So you figure out what dimensions are of a particular phone, or where camera lenses and all that kind of stuff. But if this might be turning an aspect of not knowing every little thing that might be coming out, and when you watch the keynotes, that it's actually something, oh wow, it's something I didn't expect, and I didn't already learn about that, from before. That actually will be kind of nice.
Jeff,
we have an ongoing problem in the tech news blogging space, and it's I call it the Me Too articles. I'm not the only person that calls it that, but that's the Me Too articles, where you get one publication that posts a piece, and it might be, we have breaking news, or it might be their speculation, or whatever their insider information is about something that's coming up. And then you get all of the other blogs and news outlets that pile on and write their own article about the article that someone else wrote. And when you see that same piece of information popping up over and over and over again across all these different publications and websites, then it creates this in some cases a false sense that this is fact, regardless of whether or not it is. And that becomes a problem. It goes back to what Marty was saying about you end up influencing what's happening in that space, and you can actually get developers to back off from something when they shouldn't, because they're misinterpreting the information that they're seeing online. And I remember several years ago, I'm sorry, I don't remember what the actual element was, but it started with Daring Fireball. And Gruber had written a piece where he was talking about something with Apple. And in the piece, he talks about how he thought it would be really cool or really interesting if Apple did this thing. Now, at no point did he say Apple's going to do this thing. I have insider information that Apple's going to do this, anything like that. It was just, I think it would be cool if Apple did the thing. And then everyone started picking it up, and the story morphed over the course of a week or two into, this is the thing Apple is doing. And the cross-referencing to each other's sites, I mean, it was ridiculous. And the whole time I'm watching this news just grow and grow, and I know where it came from because I had read the original Gruber piece. And finally, this is back in my Mac Observer days, I ended up writing a piece saying, okay, everything you're reading is wrong. Here's the original source, and this is what it says. But it ultimately didn't matter because the story that everyone wanted grew out of this comment that Gruber made that was very clearly not about something Apple was actually doing. And so the damage is already done. But that's the sort of thing that we're seeing all the time. And most people aren't following that the news and industry close enough to know that this is just echo chamber pieces, Me Too pieces.
And look, let's just fess up to it. I mean, we could be accused of the same thing because we look for some interesting articles and then try to analyze them and provide some context. So, I feel like ours is a bit more editorial. And
that's different.
And that's different, Jeff. That's the way I see it, as opposed to taking it and running with it, speculating if it's true or that representing that it is true. I mean, I hate headlines that say might, maybe, could be, perhaps. That's an automatic. I don't bother to read them. Mm-hmm. I just don't.
Yeah,
David.
Yeah, let's go back. I mean, Gurman backed off on this. I mean, because I was watching social media. I was on X and Twitter, and oh my God, there was messages going back and forth going after him. It's like, well, the Vision Pro is not dead, and it's just going on and on. And he had to back off on this. Let's face it, he wants to get people to click his articles and read them. And I mean, granted, they can't. If you aren't a paid subscriber to Bloomberg, a lot of times you can't read it. But you got Mac Rumors and many other sites that summarize his articles anyway. But the fact of the matter is, he did back off. I mean, I don't know if I could compare him to Ming-Chi Kuo that much, because Ming-Chi Kuo can kind of be not so accurate and tends to speculate a little more than what Gurman does. But the whole intent of his articles and his Power On newsletter every week is he wants people to read what he talks about. And at least he backed off on this one, because the Vision Pro is definitely not dead.
Yeah, again, we're back to Mark's point about clickbait. That if there's no Apple news, then they try to create it.
Oh, Mac Rumors does it too. What it was. I mean, they all do. They all do one way or another.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just, I guess the only caveat we can give, or the only advice we can give, is just don't believe everything you read, folks. Yeah. Unless you're going to do what Jeff did, track it back to the source, and then try to make your own judgment about that source, because everybody's playing this game of telephone.
Yeah, and the thing is, you don't like covering rumors, and I tried to avoid them a little bit on In Touch with iOS too. I mean, it just, when they start speculating about the iPhone 19 and the iPhone 20, I'm not going to go anywhere near that. I mean, the same thing with a lot of this other stuff. You have to take a little bit of it for granted. Granted, the Vision Pro is such an exciting, more newer product. You tend to want to look at it a little closer to see what's going on, because we have to admit, and Eric will say this during the Vision, when we do the Vision Profile show, there's a lot of times there's not a lot to talk about. So it's kind of fun to discuss it, but then it blows up to this proportion, which is kind of, not pleasant.
MacVoices is supported by NordLayer. It's vacation time. Maybe your team is traveling, working from hotels, checking in from coffee shops, or just trying to stay connected while schedules get a little more flexible. But the bad guys never take a vacation, so your security can't either. That's why your business needs NordLayer. NordLayer helps secure your network and protect access to your company's resources wherever your people are working from or vacationing from. Whether they're in the office, at home, or logging in while they're on the road, NordLayer gives you a simple one-toggle-ready platform designed to help keep your business connected and protected. It also helps support compliance needs, because security isn't just about stopping threats. It's about having the right protections in place before something goes wrong. NordLayer is easy to deploy, easy for teams to use, and built for modern businesses that need secure access without unnecessary complexity. Secure your network and stay compliant with NordLayer. MacVoices viewers and listeners get an exclusive offer, up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans, plus 10% on top with the coupon code MacVoices10. Try it risk-free, 14-day money-back guarantee at nordlayer.com/MacVoices. Thanks to NordLayer for supporting MacVoices. Our next one is brought by Mr. Jeff Gamet. And I thought this was absolutely worth talking about because we have talked about the utility Bartender in the past quite a bit. And there was a time that Bartender was looked down upon because it had been purchased by an organization, and there were significant concerns over the security aspects of it. And the smart money said, don't use Bartender anymore. Well, now Bartender's back in a different version, a new version. And Jeff, I know you've been playing with it a little bit, and I wanted to get your take on it because I think it's important, especially with no disrespect intended to a number of the alternatives that were out there. The ones I've tried just never seem to quite measure up to how useful Bartender was.
And that's fair. Okay, so I feel it's appropriate that I start off with a little bit of my background experience with Bartender. I was a longtime Bartender fan. Bartender fan, years and years and years. Relied on it daily. When the purchase happened, where the original developer sold it to another company, and the way that played out, there were things that were going on that made me question if I could trust that my personal information was not being siphoned away. And there wasn't anything directly like, oh my God, little snitch or whatever, saying all this data is being stolen off my computer. But this is the type of utility that requires an incredible amount of trust because menu bar management tools, by their nature, have deep level access to so much on your computer. And it's just the nature of how the apps have to work. So with everything that went on with the purchase and the fallout from it for Bartender, I was not comfortable using it anymore. So I switched to Ice. And now I'm using Barbee, and the reason I switched to Barbee was because the developer of Ice got a job that required more of his time, and he couldn't continue to maintain Ice. And Barbee's been working fine for me. So anyhow, with all of that, the new developers of Bartender reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've got this thing coming." And we would like you to take a look at it, which I thought was very nice of them, but also very brave of them because they knew how critical I had been of what had gone down with the Bartender purchase. So I agreed. Yep, I'll check it out. And what I have found playing with this, and some of the features I wasn't able to use to their full extent because of their beta status as I was playing with them. But for everything that I was playing with and was working, I look at this and I'm thinking, okay, so Bartender with Bartender Pro is looking really interesting. And if there was data that was being taken out and used inappropriately, at least the taking out part, we would know about because there are people that watch to see what's coming out of apps like this. Like they watch like hawks. So I'm not concerned about the data part. So anyhow, all that said, the new Bartender, if you're someone that's been a longtime Bartender fan, I'm feeling like you would be very comfortable using this because all the things that you remember from like Bartender 4, Bartender 5, that's all there. Where the big changes are is when you get to the Pro version. And that's so Bartender is a paid app, like perpetual license. The Pro part, those are add-on features. That's a subscription. So you don't have to pay for that part. But what you get with that, to me, it's like in some ways what Apple could have done with the notch on the MacBook Pro. Because that space on a MacBook Pro, it's just like dead wasted space. And what Bartender is doing is adding in things to that area, similar to what you see in the bar thing on your iPhone. So you have like this common place where you can see little bits of useful information, like what song is playing, what's the weather, recently used files. And then because it's a Mac and it recognizes a Mac interface is different than an iPhone, it becomes this drawer that pops out where you can have like little widget things for controlling different things on your computer, showing other information, dragging and dropping files. So it's like it's taking a bunch of things that you've been using from other utilities and unifying them into a specific utility here. And they do have a thing where you can build your own widgets, which is kind of limited right now, but it's also a brand new thing. So you can have widgets that show information the way you want it, in essence. So you can put together a widget that has the types of things that you want to see, not just here's one thing that a specific developer said you could look at. So the pro features, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, that's kind of compelling, as long as Bartender is the tool that you think works best for you.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jeff. You're comfortable now recommending it, or recommending that we can go back to it and feel safe and secure?
I'm okay recommending it again. And I feel like they've done a lot to try and repair that trust that was lost. Now, whether or not you trust, that's up to you. And I'm not going to tell anyone do something that you're not comfortable with. So, if you're like, nope, I feel like this is just not for me, that's fine. But for people that have been holding out, saying, maybe something will happen where I can feel comfortable using this again, I think that's where we are now.
Yeah, that's good. David.
Yeah, I mean, adding that new feature, Top Shelf. I have not tried this just yet, and I hadn't even realized it until just now tonight. It looks very compelling to take a look at it again. I was like all of us here who were using Bartender. It was the fact that with all that security problem, I abandoned it like a lot of people did. But I'm glad to see that you see that it's much better design. It looks like they've got a much better structure. Their website's a lot updated. And it looks like even besides the licensing, you can get a $15 a year deal if you wanted to go all in with the Mega supporter, pay $88, I think is with the tax and everything. That you give a lifetime. But I don't know if I would want to take that chance just yet by investing all that money into it and then realizing it's not a great thing, and then you're stuck with it. Maybe the first year of getting that is going to be in there, and I also wonder if they're going to continue to be in SetApp, because they still have the old version. Well, it is version 6, but it might be just the basic version, not the.
I believe you're correct, and I didn't ask them about what they're doing with SetApp, so I don't know, but I did ask them about compatibility with future versions of Mac OS, because there's, of course, every app that's out there, regardless of how it's been coded, people are concerned about what happens when Rosetta 2 is gone. Will the apps that I use continue to work?
Right.
And so I asked them about compatibility with the next version of Mac OS. What they told me is that of course they can't give me a definitive answer about exactly what they're doing until after WWDC, because that's when we start finding out what changes with Mac OS. However, as everything stands now, they're expecting that no, let me find a better way to say that, because I don't want to put words in their mouth. How about if I say it this way? They fully plan on making sure that Bartender continues to work in the next version of Mac OS. Okay.
So the next version would be probably the de facto for quite a while, I would think, just like it had been for all these years previous to from Tau and before. So, did they say what type of programming did they do? Is it Sparkle? Is it Electron?
I believe it cannot be Electron because of what it does. I didn't ask them what framework they're using.
Okay. I'm just curious.
But if I were to speculate, I would guess maybe they actually use Swift for this because of what it has to hook into. But do not take that as gospel.
No. I'm just curious. It's not,
and I'm saying that more for all the Apple news sites that like to run with news. I'm not giving you insider information, people. I'm just speculating right here.
And I feel like I want to say that I respect them more by reaching out to you and sort of addressing it head on instead of just kind of hiding in the shadows and just doing whatever they were going to do. That they come out, they find someone who is fair and balanced. They find Jeff and say, hey, take a look at this, and he had and we all know Jeff. Jeff is not going to say it just because they were nice to him.
Yeah.
He's going to tell us the way it really is. So I find this really encouraging.
Yeah, it's I liked that they reached out to me knowing that I was critical of what had happened. And between all of us here, if they had provided me with betas where I did not feel good about what was going on, I would have just kept my mouth shut about the app. And if someone had like really pushed, like, what do you think? What do you think? I probably would have said, unless I found something in it where it's like, holy crap, this is bad and the world needs to know. I probably would have been polite and said, yeah, I'm not using it, and left it at that.
Yeah. It's an interesting problem that any of us that write or comment on this stuff face, because to Jeff's point, unless something is dangerous, if it's going to erase your hard drive, yeah. I mean, and we try to do some PSAs here about things that, are data loss or potentially damaging. But if it's just something that I just don't like, or I don't think it delivers on its promises and it's not dangerous, yeah, you just don't say it. I mean, I see no reason to beat on somebody's product unless it's dangerous. Then, yeah, we beat the daylights out of it. But otherwise, you try to be a decent citizen of the community.
Yeah. And to answer the question, I'm sure some people are thinking, what menu bar utility is running right now on my Mac? And right now it actually is Bartender.
Oh, nice.
And I've been jumping back and forth between Bartender and Barbee because I wanted to like really compare things. And so it's Bartender today.
Did you go with the Pro, or are you still the base?
It's the Pro.
Okay.
I needed to I need to test things. So
hey, $15 for a year, and if you don't like it,
then it's just $15.
Yeah. You convinced me.
It's Jeff. You probably like it. All right, Dave. So one thing I'm curious about, once you get it installed and start using it, I want to know how the that top drawer works for you on multiple monitors.
Okay.
And I'm asking because in some of the earlier betas that I was playing with, I just could not get it to work on an external monitor, and so what I want to know is, was that just a me thing? But that was, of course, previous betas. Where it is now, it's not really a problem. But I'm just curious how that part works for you.
I don't want to take us too far down a rat hole, but I'm going to go this far. Because, Jeff, have you noticed any, or I don't know how your setup is. So the question is, are problems like this driven by direct connect, in other words, FireWire or the HDMI connection, or with some of the voodoo that DisplayPort can do, so that you're supporting more monitors than a given Mac model was really designed to support?
Yeah, I don't know. Or is it somewhere in the software hooks that they have to grab onto? So, for example, when I looked at what Six Colors wrote about this earlier today, Dan Morin was saying that it worked just fine for him on his Apple Studio display. Well, I'm using HP Z34C, which is also an older monitor compared to the studio display. And so maybe that was playing into the problems that I was having earlier.
Does that monitor require a driver, or can you just
plug it in and it goes?
Just plug it in. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry, folks. We went down that hole a little bit longer than maybe we should, but I think it's important, especially for something like that we have cautioned people against. Now it's time to take another look.
Yeah. Before we move on, Barry in the chat has a question. So the question is, does top shelf feature work with a Mac laptop that doesn't have a notch? So I would assume so, because it works on external displays that do not have a notch.
Okay, good. Let's see. This is more just a notation for folks in case they go looking, but Apple has removed its old free productivity iWork apps. So the new versions that are compatible with the Creator Studio part are there now. From my understanding of what I've read and seen, they will stay there. They will not be updated with any new features. And they apparently are a bit of nagware, encouraging you to subscribe and to get the new features. Now, I've not done any of these, so I can't comment on how often it nags you or how much the nag is. I don't know. Does anybody here have any experience with that?
I do.
Okay.
So what it was is it started nagging as soon as I installed the creator content. So what happens is when you open up the old version, you can open up the new version right now because I had already had it installed. And so then it would nag, and I said, okay, let me check it out. And then I went back. You can still use it. It may stop nagging after a while, but it might continue. I can't tell you whether it will or not. But the fact of the matter is I kept the subscription. That's why I'm paying for it now at this point, the Creator Studio. So, and I'm happy with that because I started using Final Cut and I started using I like the new features in Keynote, so I'm happy with it. But people don't want to invest in this, which that's perfectly able. You also can use the new versions. You don't have to pay for it, and you just don't get all the advanced features that what it offers when you have a subscription. So that's probably what Apple's trying to do, is get everybody just to do that, and just use the new version, and then just don't pay for the advanced features.
And I'm not a fan of nagware any more than anyone else, but that's not an uncommon thing for anyone that's offering a version of the software for free, that they do a little advertisement for themselves and say, hey, this other version is even better. So it is what it is. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.